From the News Channel 5 Network and Out and About Nashville, this is Out and About Today. Sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
Good evening and welcome to Out and About Today. I'm Pam Wheeler. On tonight's show, Brent is going to sit down with Miss Vidalia and Gentry and dish on all things drag in Nashville. But first, we talk hot topics in our two-part Buzz About. I'm joined by co-hosts Chuck and Brent. And we are going to buzz it up. First of all, let me say to both of you, Happy Thanksgiving. We're in November.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy fall, happy all those
Sweater
things.
weather.
Yes, it is. Yes, or as the lesbians wear, we wear utility
jacket weather.
That's right.
We got a pop color going over.
So, you know, we tape the show. Some of our topics are dated, but I think we can go broader with them as they change in real time. The Ellen and the George W. Bush photo that was up at a Cowboys game. You guys know about NFL and Cowboys. You've read it, right?
I grew up with the Cowboys. Hello.
Well, all right, there you go. So I'm curious to know, we're going to show the picture, if it bothered you, because there was a lot of backlash. Mm-hmm. So in the most basic form first, I want to know if it bothered you that Ellen has said she's friends with George W. Now, that wasn't a planned outing. They were both at the same box, right? Mm-hmm. But they're friends. She said it. Does it bother you? There's the picture. Ellen afterwards, you know, of course, comes out and says, yes, we're friends, be kind to one another. Well, first, let me get your thoughts on that. Chuck, you go first.
Okay, so, you know, I'll certainly speak up when I think there's like, but this didn't bother me at all. This, to me, first, Ellen is so kind. George W. Bush, yes, when he was in office, he did things that were not good for the gay community. He spoke out against the gay community. But as we've even seen with other presidents since then, there have been times where they've evolved too. They weren't necessarily for gay marriage or, you know, same-sex marriage. But even Obama evolved into that position. George W. Bush, his daughter Jenna Bush Hager, I love her on the Today Show. She talks about the fact, she's like, my family, they evolved. My dad he's got a lot of gay friends.
And he probably did when he was president.
And that's true, right. But I know because politically, but I was not bothered by that at all. In fact, I like that picture.
Okay.
It gives you a little bit of hope. And I mean, maybe it's our age, say, I don't know, but having lived through the Bush years, and I think Pam's right, like this was one incident that happened last month, but it sort of speaks to a broader topic, which is how do we just get along with one another? Even, you know, like you said, they were both invited to Jerry Jones's box. She maybe knew or didn't know he was going to be there, and she sat next to him. And maybe, you know, if for so many years we said we have to be out in order to be effective. We have to be our true selves. How do we know that her friendship with him hasn't in some ways changed him, and in regards to his thoughts? So, I mean, I can see both sides of the story, you know, but I think in a culture where we're like to be outraged about everything, two people sitting next to each other at a football game is pretty mild.
I'm going to read you something, though, because that was my thought. That was my thought. Who cares? Look, he had been on her show. They had taken pictures other times where she said he's my friend. So it wasn't news. It might have been news to NFL watchers or the gays in NFL. But it did get me thinking, and maybe if Ellen could have taken it one step further to even mention that George Bush has evolved, right? Wouldn't we have liked that?
Yeah.
If she would have said, you know, this isn't the 2003 George Bush. Mm-hmm. Like, I would have liked that. But here's something that kind of went through my circles on Facebook. And it says, just a reminder that despite the viral clip of Ellen saying to be nice to everyone, no matter their beliefs or backgrounds, that in fact, you do not have to be nice to everyone. I love Ellen and what she stands for in general. And while she's queer, she's also rich and white and has the luxury to create her own little world and to live in a bubble. You don't owe niceness to racists. You don't owe niceness to homophobes. You don't owe niceness to xenophobic folks. You don't owe niceness to people who threaten your livelihood. You're allowed to tell them they are cruel. You're allowed to cut them out of your life like toxic cancer they really are. You're allowed to not feel bad about setting boundaries.
And I certainly agree with that. I do. But I also, like they say, never tolerate intolerance, which I so stand by that. But if somebody has changed, they have evolved, then I'm
and who's to say that they wouldn't have evolved if they weren't if you weren't their friend, if you weren't there living that example. We've said many times on the show, a lot of times, whenever you're working in the community, maybe we're the only out gay person they know, and maybe that changes their mentality of gay people because you got to know them and work with them. So, I mean, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
Well, not at all, but I'm going to jump to something that I know you're going to talk about later, but the commissioner from Sevier County.
Yeah.
Now, if I was sitting next to him, no, that wouldn't happen, because I know how he feels about me. He's not evolved.
He's not just sitting there, right?
He's saying,
he's actively being discriminatory.
Right. Yeah, and we are going to get to that in a minute.
Sorry.
Well, let's just take it talk about your personal lives. This was Ellen and George W. Bush was brought up in the last debate for the candidates to talk about how in their personal lives maybe they connect with people who are way across the aisle. So do you all have similar experiences in your life that make you relate to Ellen? People who, maybe even at family gatherings, you could take them down on the mat if needed, but you don't.
Yes, I mean, I can speak to one of each if you'd like. I mean, there's a family member, there is a close friend. Both of them are, have been supporters. One thing that I have noticed is that their vocability or speaking about it has changed a little bit. They don't come after it. They don't start a conversation. So in my mind, maybe they've evolved a little bit. So in respect for that, I don't push them, and we just sort of avoid the topic. I mean, that's sort of I hate to say avoid, because I mean that sounds like we're not getting to the truth, but I mean we still have many. Yeah, we have so many other commonalities.
I mean, there's movies.
One of them is gay. One of them is gay and is still a supporter. And I think in large part because I have the empathy to know that he grew up around that. His family feels that way. So I think in his mind it's either alienate his entire family or keep it. So I mean, there's always some weird choices and some weird reasons why people are who they are. But we can still be friends and just not talk about it.
Right. Chuck, what?
Yes, I do, and it's a situation kind of what we were describing. If somebody evolves, somebody that's very close to me growing up, once I'd come out, and then once I knew their views, because until I had come out, I didn't, and they were totally against it, and I was like, so I kept my distance. I was like, fine, if that's the way you feel about me, good. I'm glad I know it, but there's a door between us, and I'm not going to open it.
But you weren't ugly proactively to them either, right?
Yeah. But they did eventually come around, like 2 or 3 years later, and I was shocked and surprised. But I was like, so yeah, I don't need to keep that door. I'll open the door and say.
But is part of the reason you think they came around is that your presence was there. You didn't tolerate it. You closed the door, you say, but you didn't attack them.
Right, and I didn't. No.
And I think that would have been harder for them to come around had you done that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we got to stop. We didn't even get through anything. So don't go away. When we come back, we continue our Buzz About talk. We've got some lightning rod topics. Stay with us.
I don't know.